Well, hi Gemma, it's so nice to see you.
Yeah, I know, lovely to see you. Here we are in a new world, but let's make the most out of it, hey?
Let's get out of this. So everybody, this is Gemma, and Gemma is the business partner for Kérastase in Scotland. And we've got a few questions from our clients that we would love to put to you and for you to use your Kérastase knowledge. Obviously the change of the season, and there's a lot of new products and lots of education coming our way, and I think it's really important that we touch base with our clients, you know, and whether they can come into the salon or not. So the first question that we've been asked is, what are the best products for aging hair, that is with changing texture and becoming drier? What would you recommend?
Okay. So we have, actually, almost as if by magic, we have the new chronology strange. So really, we identified that this was an area within the market which really people weren't kind of servicing. You know, generally aging hair is something that people are quite aware of what aging skincare delivers, and there wasn't really anything that kind of met this demand. So aging hair very much looks the same almost as what aging skin does. We prefer to call it youth preservation. We don't like the word anti-aging, but fundamentally it has the same kind of attributes, if you like. So sometimes it can be a little bit flatter, it can be a little bit duller, the same way that you kind of lose a little bit of elasticity in the skin. That's very much what you see with an aged scalp, and certainly with an aged hair. So really what that hair and what that scalp is crying out for is moisture, number one, and moisture is the number one kind of skincare concern within the UK. The second problem is anti-aging as such, but the two are kind of quite closely linked sometimes. And really what you want to do with a hair and with a scalp like that is almost kind of drench it in moisture without having lots of weight. So Chronologies delivers that. So what you have within that collection is you have a hyaluronic acid base. Hyaluronic acid, many of your guests will know, it is the chief hydrator, if you like, and really what it does is it delivers a lot of moisture without the weight. And a lot of great skincare companies use it for that reason. We say hyaluronic acid is a little bit like coffee. The grade that you get depends hugely. And actually, you know, if you have good coffee, you can definitely taste the difference. And it's the same with hyaluronic acid. If you use a great hyaluronic acid, you will definitely get that moisture without the weight. So the second ingredient that features within the Chronologies range is vitamin E. And for the same reasons that we use it within our lip balms and with our hand creams, what it will do is work as a very good kind of protector, and it really kind of helps protect against free radicals, and works as a great antioxidant. The other ingredient that features heavily within the Chronologies collection is actually an ingredient which is called absine, and absine is a relatively kind of new molecule, if you like, and the only other skincare company on the market that actually uses that ingredient is Crème de la Mer. Over time cells diminish, and what absine as an ingredient does is regenerate and kind of rejuvenates those cells. So what you get is an influx, almost like an influx of cell, if you like, which therefore gives this kind of real youthful appearance to the hair. But as if that wasn't enough, you get some plumping, you get some moisture. It really kind of transforms the fibre. And just kind of from a visual point of view, this is what the Chronologies range looks like.
The biggest question that we're getting asked a lot of, and I know this from my own clientele as well, is that people, obviously with lockdown, they are loving their hair length, and the biggest thing is for some people this is the first time in a long time, possibly since they were at school even, that they've dealt with long hair, and it comes with more challenges. And obviously what you want to do is that you want your hair to look well conditioned being long. So we have been asked tons and tons and tons to what is the best range for looking after longer hair and also promoting hair growth.
I mean, anything that's kind of longer, I mean, it's the same with nails and all these sorts of things, you know, you kind of need to look after them that little bit more for sure. And what we generally find is that when people have kind of slightly longer hair, it generally has this kind of almost like tapered looking kind of appearance to it. And it's purely because what happens is there just isn't enough kind of intercellular structure to maintain the length itself. And really, I suppose the easiest way to describe it, it's a little bit like you're building a house. You know, you almost kind of have to have the foundation to be able to put the bricks on. You know, you need that kind of internal structure there. The range that I would definitely say that delivers that is Extensioniste. And Extensioniste is really about a hair training program, if you like. There's actually an ingredient ingredient which features within the Extensioniste range, which is actually called creatine. And creatine, many kind of gym goers will be aware of creatine. It's a muscle builder, and a bit like, you know, if you have kind of your nails done and you have a nail builder, everything needs built, and that's really what longer hair requires, because it's not going to do that job itself. And creatine really kind of delivers that internal structure to allow the hair to get to a longer length, because without something to kind of coach it in that way, you will find that from the root to the tip, the quality can change quite considerably, and really that's what Extensioniste will do. It will carry that through right to the tip.
I'm excited about this question because serums over the last few years now have been a huge part of our skincare range, and you know, most male and female are using serums as opposed to just popping on the cream kind of thing. And serums are obviously launched heavily now in the Kérastase range, and I've seen so many beautiful results from using from the Genesis serum. Why should a client incorporate a serum into their skincare for their scalp? What benefits would they need and what would they get out of this, Gemma?
Yeah, I mean, certainly you've kind of answered in terms of why do you have skincare, you know, that kind of really features serums so heavily, and any kind of skincare guru will tell you that, you know, a moisturizer and a toner really are only as good as the serum that you're using. And the reason for that is because the actual molecules which feature within a serum are much smaller. They're almost kind of micromolecules, if you like, which basically have the ability to not only have a much higher efficiency with the hair, but they travel a lot deeper. So, I mean, I know people that have actually stopped using moisturizers and they only use serums for the same reason, because the serum is really what has the active ingredients, which is really going to allow the product to perform. And quite often you'll see that when you look at ranges within skincare and ranges within hair care, the serum is really what contains the most amount of those ingredients. The serum is really the kind of, it's the kickstarter, it's the motor, it's really what's going to carry that product through. I think people are always a little bit nervous with serums because they kind of think that they're the same as oils, and they generally tend to think they're a little bit heavier. Yeah, and they're really not. As you can see, I mean, I have, you know, fine, obviously heavily bleached hair. For me, serums is, you know, that is the golden nugget of my hair care collection, because without it, I just don't get the result that I want, really.
What we've definitely found with lockdown is porosity. Porosity has changed. We had obviously phenomenal weather at the start, and what we're finding is clients who come in whose porosity level is really high, and they're finding that their colour to start with is starting to fade a little bit. So a lot of clients are asking, what products would you recommend for the prolonging the colour in between appointments?
I suppose for me that depends on the number one prescription of that client. I mean, obviously you guys are incredible at giving, you know, great thorough consultation. It depends on actually why is the colour changing, I would be asking. So is it what's being used at home? Sometimes it can be that you're in a more hard water area, you might have more copper piping, you might have, you know, there's lots and lots of things. If you've, you know, constantly got your central heating on, these are all things that can definitely affect. I think the chroma range is really what's going to help to kind of prolong colour, but I would be understanding why is the colour fading in the first place. And sometimes you may have somebody that, you know, swims a lot, that doesn't necessarily protect their hair. It's a little bit like buying, you know, a beautiful Gucci dress and washing it with fairy liquid. You just wouldn't do that. So
what is your favourite product, Gemma? What would you not live without in your Kérastase product?
Okay, this is really tough actually. I suppose in terms of what I would definitely not be able to live without, I would say for me is definitely Fusio doses. Obviously you can have those done in the salon, and I just think that the deliverance of that sort of product and the effect that I have, you know, for several washes after I've used it, I really feel that kind of in salon benefit over and over and over again. So if I was on a desert island, I would definitely take my Fusio. That would be my number one. If I was allowed another product, I'd probably take the Ultraviolet Blonde, which is our toning shampoo. When we launched the Ultraviolet, the Blonde, for me, it cared for the hair as well as delivered that kind of anti-brassiness, which, you know, any blonde will tell you is worth its weight in gold. So yeah, I'd smuggle the Fusio dose, and I'd be honest about the ultraviolet. Yeah.
It's not a unique shampoo though. I can't get over the feel of your hair when you use that product. And
absolutely.
And both the Lumiere and the Van Ultraviolet, but they're both, like, your blonde is transformed without
you just see a change in the fibre. I mean, the fibre just totally change it, and literally from the, I mean, even if you're using it just once a week, you know, toning shampoos have been out for a long time, and Kérastase was later to market, and the reason why we did that was because for us as a brand, it's really about making sure that, number one, it cares for the hair. If it doesn't care for the hair, we wouldn't launch a product. It's as simple as that. And really with the ultraviolet, I think having that hyaluronic acid, having the Edelweiss, and Edelweiss is again a great protector, and it goes back to that whole thing about protection. You know, this is really about putting up the defenses and really looking after your hair, number one.
Last question that I have is that obviously, again, throughout lockdown, clients had to, you know, we didn't have a judgmental approach to this, but obviously clients were in need of getting their hair coloured, done a bit of colouring themselves, and the main thing is that they had over-processed. They had colour over colour kind of thing, and it's been damaged, and it's trying to rectify that. So what your advice would be to these clients that have got over-processed hair but want to try and maintain as much of their length as possible?
Absolutely. So, I mean, our damage as a collection is a large collection, and really what we would be looking at is, number one, how much damage has been created. We have kind of 3 collections within our strengthening range. The first one being Architect, and Banforce Architect, Salon Thermique. Salon Thermique is one of our top 5 sellers. It basically will kind of, you'd be looking at hair where it was kind of slightly damaged, but it wasn't falling apart in your fingertips. And I suppose, again, it comes back to that consultation piece. And this is where you need the expert. You know, you need the expert in the form of yourselves to really be guiding you with this, and to make sure that you get the right product as well, number one. If there is an element of damage, I'd be looking at Architect as a collection. If the hair is almost kind of falling apart in my fingertips when we're carrying out stretch tests in the salon, really you'd be looking at something like the Therapiste range. And almost as it does, you know, what it says on the tin, really, it really is hair therapy, and it's about kind of getting that kind of initial protein levels going again, replacing those missing, you know, the missing proteins which have been taken out through colouring. That's really what Therapiste will do as a collection. Damage as a whole really needs to be recommended by your hairdresser for sure.
My last, it's not a question, it's probably because you've just launched Chronologiste, and I can't tell you how excited I am to get the delivery when it comes into the salon. I know you touched base with it against the products, you know, for people who've got aging hair or drying hair, but why would somebody who wasn't concerned about aging, but why would somebody choose to have this? Why would they need it right now? Why would you recommend Chronologiste into their hair care regime?
I think, I mean, we're definitely seeing more people hold on to more of a natural colour. Number one, you know, people are definitely embracing the grey, which I think is really lovely to see, you know, but it doesn't look after itself. And I suppose that we're going kind of back to that kind of lack of moisture, particularly within these hair types. You know, anything that's kind of moisturised, generally, you know, we're all there with our creams, aren't we? Let's be honest. And that's why, you know, the more hydrated something is, that, you know, the longer it will look youthful for. It's as simple as that. That's why we need water. That's why, you know, it's the same thing. Chronologiste is really about kind of regenerating, rejuvenating that youthfulness of the hair. It goes back to the old kind of tagline that, you know, prevention is better than cure. And I definitely feel that Chronologiste is a range that does that. This can be used on a regular basis, and there's absolutely no problem with doing that. The range comprises of a hair bath, you have a mask, and you also have a Thermique. Thermique, for those of you that don't know, is more of a styling-esque product. So this is really what's going to give you 230-degree heat protection. You know, again, if you're using any heat on the hair, absolutely, you know, especially as the hair gets a little bit older and a bit more tired, you know, you definitely do need to be making sure that you're protecting that.
Thank you so much, Gemma. It's been lovely.
Very welcome.
And I'm missing you lots. And
I know.
We'll see soon.
We'll be back soon with our youth preserved hair, looking absolutely incredible.
listen to when
Exactly. You probably won't recognise me, to be honest, Roz.
We'll all be doing it. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
Soon. Thank you so much.
That's right. Thanks for your time, Roz. Take care. Thanks, guys.